Does the minimum wage in Florida go up next week? As a matter of fact, it does. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Carlson. Today is Monday, some Monday. We don't know what Monday. I missed last Monday again. I'm sorry for that. Florida voters back in November voted for a $15 per hour minimum wage in the state of Florida. It is graduated over a period of time, and I've got that up right here on the computer. You can see right there what the breakdown of it is. And let me move my pointer out of the way. This notification came out in January of 2021, and you can see that as of September 30th of 2021, and then increasing September 30th every year thereafter for 5 more years. But September 30th, 2021, the minimum wage in the state of Florida goes all the way up to $10 per hour. Currently, that number is $8.65 per hour. So it's a pretty big jump and could be costly. I wanted to talk about a couple of things before I get into that. The first one is that overall pricing has been going up, and we've seen rising inflation. I think it's nearing 6% now, continuing to rise. This is a quick article here from Bloomberg News talking about how the tax provisions of this year are all indexing for inflation, which we're going to get hit with in 2021, but probably even more in 2022. So they talk about taxes and taxes for the rich and how that affects everyone. But one of the things they don't talk about, I'm going to flip back to that schedule so that you can see it, is that tax rates all move up every year based on inflation. That number's been around 2% or less for the last several years. So seeing a big jump now, almost 6%, maybe higher by the end of the year. I know home values and pricing have gone up way over 50% in some areas, but on average nationwide about 25%. Food prices are going up. Fuel prices are up significantly. So the problem with that is, as we see all the prices go up, at the same time we see wages go up, we're really not realizing the same purchasing power that we thought we were going to get. And I'm not going to get into those numbers in great detail, but I do want to delve into a little bit deeper how these calculations actually work out for a regular business. And that's the impact that we have. For the individual, what you need to think about is arguing for an arbitrary increase in the minimum wage obviously gives people more money, more cash in their pocket, but it doesn't give you the same purchasing power, because what we find is that when wages go up, everybody raises their prices on everything they sell, services, goods, durable goods, cars, everything's going to go up because we're all going to have to make adjustments for that. And if you had an employee that was making $10 an hour right now, that's 16% above the current minimum wage. So that's pretty good. But now all of a sudden that employee's at minimum wage. What are you going to do, and how are you going to handle that? That's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. So I'm going to flip over here, leave my picture in picture. You know what I might do? I might move it to another corner. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Look at the, now I'll leave it up there. All right. So what I've done here is I put the current minimum wage in this box right here, the current minimum wage here at $8.65. Excuse the negative. I just did that so you could see that that's a full $1.35. Whoops, I'm using the wrong mouse. $1.35 increase overnight. That's pretty big. It equates to an increase of 16%. That number should actually be positive, but the rest of my formulas won't work out so great because I've already adjusted them for the positive and the negative. So what I've got here is, what do we do at current rates? So if you're current employing, and I've put some fictional employees here, Bob, John, Dave, and Mary, their current rate at September 29th, 2020 at $13, $10, $20, and $12. So what would that equate to if we did a dollar for dollar increase for that 16% increase? And I'm just going to assume that we're going to increase it by the same amount. Most employers won't, but maybe you can gradually reach into it as you're increasing the your pricing for your business. We're all going to go up. If you watch my show and you're one of my customers, I'm sorry, but we can't help it. And I'll show you the details at the end of this, at the end of the video, the overall cost for the year and what that comes out to. So if we increased everybody by the same 16% as the minimum wage increase on that date, then Bob's pay would go up by $2. John's pay would go up by $1.56. Dave, $3.12, and Mary, $1.87. Okay. Now I want to show you the impact of that increase on the overall budget for the year. So this is the number of hours they worked last year in 2020, the total number of hours. And this is just the increase, by the way. So this is, I'm just going to type that. Increased wages for that period. So when you look at those numbers and how big they are, I want to just give you a breakdown here of that. That's a $12,000 increase for that small business. That is $1,000 a month that's going to come out of the pocket. And where do you think the small business owner is going to go? So everyone else's purchasing power goes up, but the small business owner or the medium or large size business owner, their wages aren't going to go up. So they're going to suffer. It's one of the arguments that I go through constantly when I'm arguing about government taxation, especially when you don't have any representation in the area. But I go through this. Small business owners are suffering, and we're taking the brunt of all these rules and regulations that are being thrown out. You can see it from the videos in New York over small businesses being forced to implement government mandates, and the pain that this causing the business, not only losing business, but in the case of New York City a couple of days ago, an actual fight. I don't want to get into the details of that, but that's the pain that business owners have to feel for something that government does like this. Now, in this case, this was voted on by the legal voters in the state of Florida just last year, less than a year ago. So one thing we're going to have a lot, the vote was pretty good. It was over 50%, obviously. I think it was around 60. But don't forget that when the prices of everything you buy goes up at the restaurant, at your accountant, at your lawyer, at the gas station, everywhere else, you voted for it. It's going to hit you on October 1st of this year. So get used to it and don't really whine about it. If you didn't vote, I don't care about what you have to say anyway, because not voting is the same as not caring. So this business owner is $12,000. So let's just assume that the total gross revenue of this business owner, let's assume it's a restaurant, right? So their revenues are volatile, and they don't have a lot of overhead. So if the business's gross income for the year is only $400,000, then what's the percentage of that versus their overall income? So we're just going to throw that formula in here live on the air and see if I can get it right. Well, it's not live because I record these now. That's a 3%. So you can see that after we get the 16% increase in wages, it's 3% of their gross income. So that business owner has to recoup that somehow. They're going to have to raise their prices a minimum of 3%. But you have to look at something else. At the same time that business owner is increasing their prices and their wages, everyone else that they do business with is doing the same thing. Insurance prices, fuel prices, electricity prices, rent, supplies, materials, everything they use in their business is also going up. So I would say anyone in the state of Florida or anywhere else where these minimum wage mandates are going up, please expect at least a 5 to 10% increase in your overall cost of whatever you purchase from people around the community. Just figure it's going to have to happen because everyone can't afford it. If everyone just tried to eat that cost, then there would be much less money in the economy overall, and we would see the whole thing start to go down. So keep that in mind, not only when you're looking at the numbers of your business, but keep that in mind also when you're thinking about it at the ballot box. Really do your research, really listen to the people, do your research on the numbers, listen to the experts, try and determine what the overall impact you think it's going to have on the economy, because there's a cost built into just about everything government does. And that cost is immediately going to be passed on to someone, and they're going to have to try and recoup it from someone else, which means they're going to have to pass it along to the goods that you purchase. So don't forget that. If you are a small business owner and you're in the state of Florida and you need some help trying to figure this out, or this transition from the minimum wage, or you want us to try and help you out to figure these numbers out, we can actually run the numbers and help you figure what your actual change in cost will be at varying levels, because the way I build spreadsheets is so that we can change all the numbers. So at any time, I could actually change this to 10%. And you see over here that my cost went down now to $8,000 versus $12,000. So there is some variables. We can figure out where you want to fall in that spectrum and how much you want to increase your, not only your prices, but also your wages to make sure that your employees are competitive and they don't want to go somewhere else. We're always here. We do this for our regular customers. We'd be glad to do it for you as well. My recommendation at a minimum, if you've got someone that's in the $10 range, you probably want to increase them at least that 16% to get them out of the minimum wage category. But don't forget to look at your pricing as well. I appreciate you joining me for this episode of Coffee with Carlson. Sorry for the erratic schedule that we've had the last few weeks. I promise to fix that, and we'll be back on every week starting today. Don't forget to have your strangely warm cup of coffee this morning, and we'll see you next week on Coffee with Carlson. All right, guys, that does it for this episode of Coffee with Carlson. I appreciate you joining me. Please, if you need to get in touch with us, give us a call anytime, 863-382-4141. Reach out to us on the web at carlsonaccounting.com. You can even schedule an appointment right there on our webpage for a virtual phone or in-office meeting. We'll be able to fit you in and get your issue taken care of. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell, hit the subscribe, wherever those buttons are, somewhere around the screen, and we'll see you next week on Coffee with Carlson. Thank you and have a great day.